You are carrying dead weight and calling it your personality. Right now, in this moment, there are 5 things attached to your psyche that are draining your energy, lowering your frequency, and keeping you stuck in patterns that were never yours to begin with. Carl Jung spent his entire career studying the human mind. He explored the unconscious. He mapped the shadow. He understood integration at levels most therapists will never reach. And he discovered something that will disturb you. The things you think make you who you are actually anchors keeping you from becoming who you could be. Tonight you learn the 5 things you must give up immediately if you want to vibrate higher. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now. Because every day you carry these weights is another day you operate below your potential. The third one is the most dangerous because you have convinced yourself it protects you. But here is the problem. It is actually the thing destroying you from the inside. The first thing you must give up is your addiction to other people's opinions. You check how people react before you decide how you feel. You adjust your words based on who is listening. You change your behavior depending on who is watching. This is not social awareness. This is energetic slavery. Jung called this living from the persona instead of the self. The persona is the mask you wear for society. The self is who you actually are beneath it. Most people spend their entire lives perfecting the mask and never discovering what is underneath. Every time you modify yourself for approval, you leak energy. Every time you suppress your truth to avoid judgment, your frequency drops. Every time you perform instead of exist, you move further from your authentic vibration. And most people miss this. They think they are being mature. They think they are being considerate. They are actually fragmenting their psyche into 1,000 different versions, none of which are real. Here is what happens energetically when you live for others' opinions. You split your attention between what you actually think and what you should think, between what you actually feel and what you should feel, between who you actually are and who you should be. This split creates internal friction. Friction lowers vibration. You cannot vibrate higher while your energy is divided between your truth and your performance. But here is where it gets dangerous. You have convinced yourself that caring about opinions is empathy, that adjusting for others is kindness, that performing is social skill. These are lies your ego tells you to avoid the discomfort of authenticity. Real empathy does not require you to betray yourself. Real kindness includes being kind to your own truth. Real social skill is being the same person in every room. Give up the addiction now. Stop checking for approval before you speak. Stop adjusting your personality for different audiences. Stop performing for validation. The discomfort you feel when you stop is not wrong. It is withdrawal. You are addicted to external validation, and withdrawal always hurts. But on the other side of that discomfort is energetic freedom. You become whole instead of fragmented. Your vibration rises immediately because you are no longer leaking energy through the gap between who you are and who you pretend to be. The second thing you must give up is your attachment to being right. You argue to win instead of to understand. You defend your position even when evidence suggests you are wrong. You would rather protect your ego than expand your awareness. This is frequency poison. Jung understood that the psyche grows through integration of opposite viewpoints. When you encounter information that contradicts your beliefs, you have 2 options: defend and remain the same, or integrate and evolve. Most people choose defense every single time. They experience cognitive dissonance and immediately work to resolve it by rejecting the new information. This keeps them locked in the same consciousness forever. Your attachment to being right is not about truth. It is about identity protection. You have built an identity around certain beliefs. When those beliefs are challenged, you feel like you are being attacked. So you defend, you argue. You find evidence that supports what you already think. You dismiss evidence that contradicts it. This is called confirmation bias, and it is a vibration killer. Here is the truth that disturbs most people. Every time you defend a belief instead of examining it, you choose stagnation over growth. Every time you need to be right, you sacrifice the possibility of being wiser. Every time you argue to win, you lose the chance to learn, and this is where most people get stuck. They have made their beliefs part of their identity. Changing a belief feels like losing themselves. So they cling to ideas that no longer serve them because letting go feels like death. But Jung knew something crucial. Psychological death is required for psychological rebirth. The old identity must die for the new one to emerge. Give up being right. Start being curious. When someone disagrees with you, get interested instead of defensive. When evidence contradicts your belief, examine it instead of dismissing it. When you feel the urge to argue, pause and ask if you are protecting truth or protecting ego. The moment you release your attachment to being right, your consciousness expands. You become capable of holding multiple perspectives simultaneously. You integrate instead of divide. Your vibration rises because you are no longer using energy to defend a fixed position. You are flowing with truth wherever it leads. The third thing you must give up is your victim identity. This is the most dangerous one because you have convinced yourself it protects you. You tell stories where things happen to you, where other people are responsible for your state, where circumstances control your outcomes. This narrative gives you something valuable. It gives you an excuse. As long as you are the victim, you are not responsible. As long as external forces control you, you do not have to change. As long as it is someone else's fault, you can stay exactly as you are. But here is the problem. The victim identity is a frequency prison. Jung called this living from the wounded child instead of the integrated adult. The wounded child blames. The integrated adult takes responsibility. Every time you tell a victim story, you reinforce powerlessness. Every time you blame circumstances, you leak sovereignty. Every time you make someone else responsible for your emotional state, you give them your power. And most people are completely addicted to this pattern. They get secondary gains from being the victim. They get sympathy. They get to avoid accountability. They get to feel morally superior to the people who wronged them. These gains feel good in the moment, but they cost you everything in the long run. You cannot vibrate higher from a victim state. Victim consciousness is low frequency by definition. It is helpless. It is powerless. It is stuck. But here is where it gets really dangerous. Your victim stories become your identity. You are the person who was betrayed, the person who was abandoned, the person who never got a fair chance. These stories define you. And once they define you, changing them feels like losing yourself. So you keep telling them, you keep reinforcing them, you keep living from them, and your frequency stays locked at victim level forever. Give up the victim identity now. Stop telling stories where you are powerless. Stop blaming others for your current state. Stop waiting for circumstances to change before you change. This does not mean denying that bad things happened. It means refusing to let what happened define what you become. Take radical responsibility, not because everything was your fault, but because responsibility is where power lives. The moment you accept complete responsibility for your state, you reclaim your power to change it. Your victim stories lose their grip. Your frequency rises immediately because you are no longer anchored to past wounds. You are free to create from present power. Jung said the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. You cannot become who you truly are while you are busy being the victim of your story. The fourth thing you must give up is your resistance to your shadow. You have parts of yourself you refuse to acknowledge, traits you deny, impulses you suppress, aspects of your personality you have deemed unacceptable. Jung called this the shadow, and he was clear about one thing. What you resist persists. What you deny controls you. What you refuse to integrate sabotages you from the unconscious. Your shadow is not your enemy. Your shadow is the disowned parts of your self-seeking recognition. Every time you judge someone harshly, you're projecting your shadow. Every time you feel disgust at a behavior, you're looking at a denied part of yourself. Every time you claim you could never do something terrible, your shadow grows stronger. Most people spend their entire lives running from their shadow. They build an identity around being good, being kind, being moral, being civilized. And they shove everything that contradicts this identity into the basement of their psyche. But the shadow does not stay in the basement quietly. It leaks out in unexpected ways. In sudden rages you cannot explain. In self-sabotage that makes no sense. In attractions to things you claim to hate. In behavior that contradicts your values. The shadow runs your life from the unconscious precisely because you refuse to acknowledge it consciously. And this is where most people vibrate low forever. They use massive amounts of energy suppressing their shadow, denying their darkness, pretending they are only light. This suppression creates internal pressure. Pressure lowers vibration. You cannot vibrate higher while fighting a civil war inside yourself. Give up your resistance to your shadow. Start acknowledging the parts of yourself you have denied. You have capacity for cruelty. Admit it. You have selfish impulses. Acknowledge them. You have darkness inside you. Own it. This is not about acting on these things. This is about integrating them consciously instead of being controlled by them, unconsciously. Jung said the shadow is 90% gold. The energy you have been using to suppress your shadow becomes available when you integrate it. The traits you denied often contain your greatest power. Your suppressed anger might contain your ability to set boundaries. Your denied selfishness might contain your ability to prioritize yourself. Your hidden darkness might contain your ability to be dangerous when necessary. Integration does not mean becoming your shadow. Integration means becoming whole. Acknowledging all of yourself. Accepting that you contain multitudes, light and dark, good and evil, civilized and primal. When you stop fighting your shadow, you stop leaking energy through internal conflict. Your vibration rises because you are unified instead of divided. You become powerful because you have integrated your darkness instead of being controlled by it. The fifth thing you must give up is your need for comfort. You avoid discomfort like it is death. You choose the familiar over the unknown. You stay in situations that are slowly killing you because leaving would be uncomfortable. This is vibration. Stagnation. Jung understood that growth only happens at the edge of your comfort zone. The psyche expands through challenge, not through safety. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you choose to stay exactly as you are. Every time you avoid discomfort, you avoid evolution. Every time you pick the easy path, you sacrifice the expanded version of yourself that only exists on the hard path. Your need for comfort is not about physical ease. It is about psychological safety. You have built an identity. You know who you are. You understand your patterns. Stepping outside of this known territory feels dangerous because you do not know who you will be on the other side. So you stay comfortable. You stay safe. You stay small. But here is the truth. Comfort is the enemy of transformation. You cannot become someone new while staying somewhere familiar. You cannot evolve while avoiding everything that would require you to change. And most people miss this completely. They think they are waiting for the right time to change. They are actually avoiding the discomfort that change requires. They say they will start when they feel ready. They will never feel ready because readiness comes from doing the thing, not before doing the thing. Give up your need for comfort now. Start choosing the uncomfortable path intentionally. Have the conversation you have been avoiding. End the relationship that has been dead for years. Quit the job that is killing your soul. Start the project you have been postponing. Do the thing that scares you. The discomfort you feel is not a stop sign. It is a growth sign. It means you are expanding beyond your current identity. It means you are vibrating into a new frequency. Jung said there is no coming to consciousness without pain. The pain of leaving comfort is the price of evolution. Pay it willingly. Seek discomfort like it is treasure, because it is. Every uncomfortable choice is an initiation into a higher version of yourself. Your vibration rises in direct proportion to your willingness to be uncomfortable. Stop choosing safety. Start choosing growth. The version of you that vibrates higher only exists on the other side of the discomfort you are currently avoiding. You now know the 5 things you must give up to vibrate higher. Your addiction to others' opinions, your attachment to being right, your victim identity, your resistance to your shadow, your need for comfort. These 5 things feel like they protect you. They feel like they define you. They feel necessary. But they are chains. Every single one is an anchor keeping your frequency low. Jung spent his life helping people integrate their psyche, become whole, transcend their limitations. And he was clear that transcendence requires sacrifice. You must give up the false versions of yourself to discover the real one. The person who vibrates higher is not the person who accumulates more. It is the person who releases what is no longer necessary. You do not need others' approval to exist authentically. You do not need to be right to be wise. You do not need victim stories to have value. You do not need to deny your shadow to be good. You do not need comfort to be safe. Give up these illusions now. Not gradually. Now. Every day you carry them is another day you vibrate below your potential. Your transformation begins the moment you release what has been weighing you down. This is Jungian integration applied to energetic frequency. This is psychological work that changes your vibration immediately. The 5 anchors are identified. The choice is yours. Carry them and stay low. Release them and rise. Your higher frequency is waiting, but it requires you to let go of the identity you have been protecting. Choose evolution. Choose discomfort. Choose integration. Choose truth. Choose higher vibration. Now.